All right, welcome everyone. It's 11 o'clock, so welcome to the Zupa production. So today we're going to share the unique insights gathered on the contract catering sector from our recent independent research audit. And a quick introduction from myself. I'm Ollie Brand. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Zupa, and I'm joined today by our very own Neil Shale, who's our commercial director here at Zupa and also a former contract caterer. And the topic that we're looking to address today, as you can see on screen, is how contract catering businesses can survive and thrive in uncertain times. So this is very relevant, especially with the growing need for operational efficiencies in an ever-changing landscape. So we've got some compelling findings to share. Just a real quick bit of housekeeping. The recording will be shared following on from today. So sit back, relax and enjoy. And if you've got any questions, we're using Microsoft Teams. So in the top right hand corner of the window, I believe there's a Q&A icon. If you click there, send your questions throughout. You can like the questions as well, vote for the most popular questions. We'll prioritize them in the time given at the end, and we'll get through it all. So let's get into the agenda. So first off, we'll touch on who we are, and we'll keep it very brief, because then we'll move on to the research findings and establishing the challenges felt, the impacts, future concerns, what people would do with more time, and the analysis around this. And Neil will certainly weigh in on this. We'll then summarise what we've shared and share our recommendations, and then open up for questions. So it should be about 30 minutes in total. But now a little bit about Zupa. So we're a UK-based technology company. Our heritage, we were born 14 years ago out of the IT department of a contract catering business. So it's in our DNA, and we've evolved to focus on any organisation with catering operations. And our purpose is to simplify business and enable people to thrive at work. That's said in the way that chefs didn't become chefs to sit on the phone or do stock takes all day. We try and ironically try and get people to spend as little time on our products as possible to automate those day-to-day tasks so they can free up to do what they do best. And our vision is to create sustainable business where people spend less time doing mundane tasks and are freed up to do what they love. And we say sustainable business both in terms of financial and environmental impact. And our purpose and vision is something we do internally at our core, as well as externally as a business. And we fulfill this through our product, CaterNet. And CaterNet is our best-in-class catering management platform that focuses on supplier management, e-procurement, live order fulfillment, stock, recipe, and menu management. So naturally, with where we've come from, we're invested in the contract catering sector, and ultimately to challenge and provide support to help the sector, which gets us into the research. So just to set the scene, looking at the high level challenges in the sector today, starting with the macroeconomics, and then we'll get into what this actually means for the contract catering sector. So we're currently being impacted by things like Brexit, the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, obesity epidemic, global warming. But what does that actually mean for the sector? Well, we broke it down into four main things. So the first one is workforce constraints, looking at staff vacancies and bandwidth and availability to fulfill day-to-day operations. Then inflation, this is in the news at the moment, cost of suppliers going through the roof, imports getting expensive with the currency crisis following the mini budget Friday a week ago, and then the cost to retain staff becoming a problem as the cost of living crisis gets stronger. Supply chain reliability, so things like the Suez Canal last year, the HGV driver shortage earlier this year. I mean, events that showed the fragility of our supply chains, but also food supply from the war in Ukraine. All these things are contributing to this. And then added legislation, with these additional challenges, various labelling and carbon-related initiatives being implemented that puts pressure on companies and their suppliers in how to comply. So all the challenges mentioned are interrelated, but it doesn't negate from the continued risk of new challenges every day. So now to look at how it's being felt in the sector. So how is this being felt on the ground? Well, 41%, or 2/5 of contract catering professionals, claim that the pandemic has irrevocably changed their business. And this isn't an isolated incident in the hospitality sector. I mean, our restaurant survey highlighted double this number. But looking at the wider hospitality sector, UK Hospitality reported there's a 9% vacancy rate, which amounts to 188,000 empty roles. So there's a real need to be more efficient in how we operate. However, consequently, with less people, 99% of contract catering professionals claim that their outdated or manual process are the biggest time sink and damaging efficiency, which then has a profound impact on output, with another statistic from UK Hospitality that reports that staff shortages are estimated to cost £21 billion to the sector. Yet the expectation of those who are working in the sector and those on the call today is to operate as they always have done. So it's worth considering what is the impact of ignoring such shifts and how this added pressure becomes a challenge to not make the vacancy rate worse, which brings us to why we've done the research. So we surveyed 250 contract catering professionals back in May, and we set out to gain insight into how the industry is getting on post-pandemic, identifying the key day-to-day challenges. Also to look at the role technology plays in improving operational resilience. Ultimately, as mentioned before, we're working to fulfill our purpose to simplify business and enable people to thrive at work, but we use this research as an opportunity to evolve our understanding of the sector and how we can challenge the sector to deliver operational efficiencies. So let's look at some statistics. So we've constructed three main themes that we picked up in our research, and these are employee capacity and engagement. So looking at the challenges faced by those on the ground and the demoralizing impact. Process disconnect, causing gaps and overlaps. So looking into inefficiencies in daily operations and what is impacted versus what could be done. And then barriers to innovation and creativity. So looking at the attitude towards innovation in the sector. So we're going to explore each of these sequentially. Starting with theme one, employee capacity and engagement. So focusing on the people in a challenging and understaffed environment, posing the question, are employees being set up to succeed? Well, over a third of respondents would focus on improving staff satisfaction if they had more time, which suggests that this is noticeably neglected. However, when looking at the reasons for high staff turnover and poor morale in contract catering companies, we started to pick up a correlation with key contributing factors being lack of training and lack of resource, as you can see, coming in at 35% for employee turnover and 40% for poor morale. So we also picked up other causes that impacted both, such as outdated technology, poor business vision, and lack of innovation across the board, which we'll talk about later. So we then looked at what contract catering professionals say are the key contributors to other day-to-day operational business challenges, such as food wastage, making mistakes, or poor customer service. And again, we picked up that the staff training and resource was the key contributor, with 42% for mistakes, 37% for poor customer service, and a third for wastage. So all potentially expensive operational blunders. However, there was also a recurring theme around people to these key challenges, which included poor team cohesion and a lack of time, topics that will be touched on throughout the report. But taking a moment to come up for air, when talking about the general support for people in the sector, Neil, what are you seeing when going out to see our customers?
Wow, yeah, thank you, Ollie, for that. I mean, that staff retention and training, that's the big one there, isn't it? And we're seeing certain clients now try some new initiatives, and also in this post-pandemic world, really reintroduce some previous ideas and concepts they may have done before. I think it's really easy for the staff nowadays to work in silos in their own individual business unit, be it a B&I site, an events or conference venue, education, or indeed the care environment. But all these guys are really highly skilled culinary folk. And I think they've got one thing in common, really, and that is to produce great tasting food for their own customers. So these people's passions need to be continually nurtured, I feel, and allowed to be expressed to really prevent that staleness, menu fatigue, and these guys leaving the sector en masse. We can share and break into some of those ideas and strategies we're seeing clients undertake shortly, Ollie, I would say, in this webinar. But let's get a little bit deeper into the research and findings first. As you said, there's nearly 190,000 vacancies in the sector. Let's not add to it, and let's try and bring that number down.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Neil. And that innovation piece is so important. So, I mean, in summary to theme one, the general feeling is that as people need to do more with less time and resource, there's increased operational risks through a disconnect in doing the day-to-day tasks, which could have a more profound impact on the vacancies, as Neil mentioned. So, which brings us nicely onto our second theme. So the process disconnect causing gaps and overlaps. So straight off the bat, this is a profound statistic, but it was unanimous where a whopping 99% of all respondents said outdated and manual process is the biggest contributor to wasted time. So 248 of the 250 surveyed said this, with only 1% saying they don't have outdated or manual process. So there's definitely something wrong about process, as it shows that it's taking people away from what they do best. And this process time sink is impacting other areas of the business that will have a weighty financial impact too. So when asked the question of what is getting sidelines due to these challenges, the biggest was cash flow management. So just under a quarter highlighted this. And obviously cash is king in any environment, but ensuring you can get client invoices out in a good time scale, as well as having good payment terms with your suppliers, getting rebates back, aids that cash flow. Then staff happiness, 22%. This is a major one. Important to have happy people to provide a happy service to happy customers. So naturally, if staff happiness is compromised, it will have an impact on staff productivity. So 22% naturally correlated with staff happiness. And then stock management. So 21% experience increased wastage, whilst 21% again, chef creativity. So they don't get the opportunity to do what they do best around chefing. So these things are falling by the wayside due to inefficiencies in process. And then when asked, given the luxury of more time, what would you do? 65% would spend time being more creative and injecting more innovation in the business around cooking, menus, customer service and general process. 36% said they would focus on improving the quality of customer service, while 35% would improve staff satisfaction, and then 28% would focus more on cooking. So looking at these things, these are all fundamental things in the trade, and it highlights the passion from those in the sector to innovate and do the best job they can. And having people who want to be part of the success of the business is an amazing thing and empowering. So, I mean, Neil, looking at that point around innovation, what are you seeing customers do to inject more of this into their business?
Yeah, again, and as an ex-chef in contract coaching, that lack of creativity and innovation, such as menu innovation, big thing that stuck out for me in terms of those numbers you just said there, Ollie. What we're seeing on the ground, and since people have been able to mingle a little bit more and get together a bit more freely, we've seen clients running their own culinary conferences and food days. We have been fortunate enough to attend some of these as guest speakers and to provide some supporting tech updates, obviously. But being able to bring your chefs and culinary teams together to have some cook-offs, taste tests, try new menu ideas out, creates a great team bonding experience and a little bit of competition, because as we know, most chefs are keen to shaft their skills to their peers and get their dishes on the menu. Speaking to the attendees that we've seen in these types of events in recent times, their feedback is overwhelmingly positive, Ollie. Recent client-led conferences we have attended was very much focused on sustainability and introducing more plant-based alternatives to their menu and really looking after their customers. Clients do seem to be aware, Ollie, that they need to take a little bit of a step back, rethink their strategy, and this research proves there are still problems to be solved.
Yeah, I love that idea of the innovation and the competitive edge, and doing that is definitely
what it's all
fitting.
About.
Yeah, too right. But the other thing to add to that is it doesn't only have to be conferences led by the companies themselves, as some of the industry publications are putting on a great show to bring out intercompany competitions. I mean, it was fantastic. We recently went to the street food, street spelled EAT, competition for contract catering chefs, and it was amazing to see the passion for food coming through and the innovation of contract catering chefs creating these street food dishes. And I'd highly recommend to anyone attending to go and check it out, and we'll share the link to some of the events with the report after the webinar. But to round up theme 2, you're likely losing time through poor process, which is costly in many ways, and there's an absolute desire from those working in the sector to free up their time and focus their energy on what they do best, which brings us nicely to our third and final theme: barriers to innovation and creativity. So, as Neil highlighted, that importance of innovation, we covered in theme 2 that outdated or manual process are impacting the ability to operate efficiently, which is holding businesses back. Now, looking at some of the top areas that require innovation, firstly, wastage and sustainability, which is key to the wider sustainable macroeconomic agenda, but 40% feel this is reportedly being sidelined due to outdated processes. And the other key thing is around managing supply chains, as 27% feel there is an absolute need for supply chain visibility and greater supplier pricing control, and needing more flexibility on how to operate with their supplier base. So, Neil, bring you back in straight away on this point, but with some of these issues around sustainability and pricing control, is there anything you would add to this point?
Supplier control, Ollie, that's the big one for me. We've seen probably examples over the last 6 weeks or so where clients' baskets, they've been increased massively by circa 20%, and in some cases an awful lot more. So really evident to see that the cost of living and just general food inflation is having a major impact to clients' COGS. In reality, this is transpiring into daily orders. We're seeing an increase of about £30 to £40 on an average order basket through our software. So big increases. The Dutch produce availability is seeing massive spikes at the moment for the month of October, with the hope from the produce suppliers that they switch to the Spanish season coming up and the winter contracts kicking in will help settle some of those prices down in early November. But, fraught times for sure. We're also seeing use of central production kitchens is so much more common now to really help reduce those costs and breed that consistency that they're trying to do. But we're also hearing of central managers ordering goods on behalf of their colleagues, so really tightening down on what is being ordered, which again is surprising in itself. Systems, I feel, are now really critical to help with this, as you have the visibility and control to manage this, so you know what things are costing you, where your margins are at, and what is being ordered. Other streamlining measures like integration, so data is all joined up and the gates are need to rekey, I think is now even more important, Ollie. With the tech available, this is not as daunting as it once was. Other tech like single sign-on to make transitions between systems really seamless also helps the end user not feel overwhelmed and stop the process being disjointed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Neil. I mean, as you mentioned, there's a continued growing need for technology, so to facilitate these processes. And when you think about it in a way, technology facilitates innovation as it automates processes and frees up people's time. But let's look at why it hasn't been the silver bullet to date, and why in some ways there is negativity towards it. So we've formed a picture that many businesses seem to be lacking a robust IT strategy. So with over half having the view that a lack of joined up thinking on technology is resulting in outdated and unintegrated technology that leads to time consuming manual intervention, so supporting the process struggles mentioned earlier. But then also over half agree that there are too many systems for each process for them to cohesively work together. So having multiple versions of the same thing, which is a dangerous place to be. And then there's some resistance to uptake, where 46% feel the short-term pain of training is too time-consuming and will damage productivity. But then 44% feel the return on investment is just too vague or complex with implementing systems. So there is a resistance either through poor experiences or a struggle to see value. But then looking on the other side of the coin, there's certainly advocacy for technology as a solution to support the challenges the sector faces. 29% see it as an enabler for real-time forecasting and better informed decisions. A quarter of people see it as a solution to track supplier prices, as Neil highlighted, as a necessity with prices increasing. 24% see it as a solution to help with interactive reporting and insights, whilst over half are looking for technology that is easy to use and implement. And overall, over 40% are either excited by, investing in, or support that technology fits the culture of their business. So a brief summary of the third theme, but there's a hunger for innovation. And whilst technology is the means to improve process and free up time, there is some hesitation to uptake still. So now looking to round it all up, so we've got our summary and recommendations, but at an operational level, considering the three themes that we looked at, are we seeing the outcome of the sum of our broken parts? Now, consider the daily operations like an iceberg, keeping it relevant with the sustainability agenda and Frozen Planet 2 on at the moment. And the surface is the daily operations where contract catering professionals interact with their customers. Now, beneath the surface, picking out some of the key items that we've discussed. So we highlighted concerns towards poor business vision. Over a fifth flagged this as an issue. We saw a strong lack of training and resource contributing to low staff morale, with 2/5 flagging this. 99% feel that their process is outdated and time consuming, being a cause for lost time to improve how the team operate. Staff retention is impacted, where 35% would improve staff satisfaction given the time. And then innovation is lacking, where 65% would be more creative given the opportunity with more time. And then customer service and relations are impacted, where over a third would improve this if they have more time. So overall, we can see key themes around a lack of time, staff fulfillment, and innovation. Now, consider the cumulative impact of these things. The size and hidden depths of the iceberg will get out of hand, which will be costly to the business. So, frame it in a slightly different way. Each operational weakness is a chink in the delivery of operational resilience. So this means employee retention, customer service, and the bottom line will be underperforming. And in the land of milk and honey, none of these on their own or even in their entirety may feel like critical business aspects to get right, but even if they are not leading to optimal business outcomes. However, in times of unpredictability and uncertainty, they can become fissures, causing brittle process and cause daily headaches and challenges that will slowly erode business strength. So where to go from here? Well, we've put together some recommendations based on our collective experience here at Zupa. First off, going clockwise from the top. So clarify and share your business vision. As the American author Simon Sinek says, start with why. What does your business stand for? What differentiates what you do? Being able to articulate these things is a profound boost for the businesses and all the people that work together to deliver. Also, being able to understand and articulate important things like your purpose, vision, and values, and making sure the team gets behind them and supports and contributes to them. The next thing is create a robust talent management strategy, enhancing staff retention, training, and creativity. Put your employees first by investing in your talent with regular opportunities to learn and connect, like doing the culinary days or cook-offs that Neil mentioned. And look to automate admin processes to free up time. Slow or manual processes are big time sinks, and as we discovered with that 99% statistic. Also, it's important to acknowledge that the appetite is there and your teams want to do what they do best, deliver great menus and service. The next is an important one. Keep your customers at the center of everything you do. Avoid compromising on those things that make a big difference. Trends that we picked up, like 40% saying wastage and sustainability is being sidelined due to outdated processes. But a Statista study showed that nearly 6 in 10 UK consumers, that if sustainable alternatives were more affordable and accessible, they would adopt a sustainable lifestyle. So, the appetite is there. We know from customers that is increasingly common requirement in tenders, and the regulation is going to follow. So, and then the last recommendation is to invest in technology, a new set of digital solutions for a new normal. Focus on your technical architecture across the business. Just over half of contract catering professionals agree that there are too many systems for each process for them to cohesively work together, whilst over half feel systems are disconnected and there are gaps in the process. Ensure the technology is right for your business. Make sure you prioritize and solve your business challenges like cash flow management and supplier pricing, but also consider the holistic picture when looking to return on investment. There may be a hard financial savings, but also consider the reduced time on certain activities, more efficient allocation of staff, and improved employee retention, which all have cost-saving implications. And importantly, ask yourself, what's the opportunity cost of not investing? Now, to wrap it up with a brief summary, and we'll open up for questions. But so to summarize, there's a lot that you can work on, improve and invest in to help you stand out and navigate the more challenging economic environments we seem to be increasingly finding ourselves in. Touching on the key points from the research, the first theme of employee capacity and engagement, we saw that contract catering professionals are needing to do more with less time and resource, and with that, there are increased operational risks through a disconnect in doing the day-to-day tasks. Our second theme is a process disconnect causing gaps and overlaps. You're likely losing time through poor process, which is costly in many ways. And there's an absolute desire from those working in the sector to free up their time to focus their energy on what they do best. And our third and final theme is barriers to innovation and creativity. There's a hunger for innovation, and whilst technology is a means to improve process and free up time, there is some hesitance to uptake still, but that will change. And the recommendations include getting into the business vision and making sure it's felt across the team, having a robust talent management strategy and getting into team building events, maintain a focus on your customers and invest in your technology strategy. Take a holistic view to make sure your business processes and software align, and ask yourself the big question, what is the cost of doing nothing? Can you afford to wait until the small cracks become almighty fissures? And on that note, I'll open the session up to questions. So how we doing on the question front?
I don't think we've had any questions so far, but a question was passed to me prior to the session starting today. Would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The question that came to me was, is certain technologies in this current environment a luxury rather than a necessity?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, that's a common perception around technology and doing IT projects, especially in times of difficult times and times of adversity. But when you think about what software is trying to achieve, I mean, it's about aligning business process and automating it. So it's business process automation. And when you do have to have a kind of upfront investment to get that implemented, and of course the training's there, but then consider the return on investment and the medium and long-term benefits of doing so. So the key process that you're improving, there may be a hard financial saving attached to that, but then thinking about things like that productivity, if the team is more productive, saving time, if they're saving time and they're doing the things that they do best and they're more fulfilled in their roles, that saves on recruitment costs, service quality goes up, and that could then come through to the end customer with customer retention. So, in a time of adversity, we've seen things like the pandemic, and then times like now as well. It's an opportunity to make your process more resilient and invest in your technology. And it's really fundamental to take the time to make sure you're investing in the right technology, though, and consulting with the right people to ensure it's completely robust. But yes, it's a common perception that it's luxury, but the return on investment is there. So it's definitely a worthwhile and will become a necessity, as we've highlighted today.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the key word you said there is the right technology, Ollie, isn't it? I think that's the key bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we give it a second or two for more questions, but at the moment I think we're all good. So in which case we'll close off the session. So I think, as mentioned, we'll make the recording available to all of you, and as well as the report summary. Thank you for joining, Neil. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Our email address is on the screen, or reach out to us on LinkedIn as well. You can also access all information on our contract catering campaign page, which you can see at zupa.com/contract catering, as you see on the screen. Otherwise, I hope you found this useful. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.